Hi, this video looks at the value of innovation. So I'm going to go over this bullet point here. And in the last video I defined what innovation was and distinguished between invention and innovation. So innovation is the process of generating a new idea. That includes invention, where you come up with a completely new idea that's not been done before, but it can also include simply refining an old idea, making an old idea better, and innovating a new way of using that product maybe, or enhancing a product in some way. So innovation covers many different examples of how it's done, but essentially it's coming up with a new idea and putting it into practice. So what are the advantages to an organisation of being innovative and having some form of innovation, coming up with new ideas? Well, first of all, it may well create a competitive advantage for you because you come up with either a better process or way of doing things or a better product, and that's going to enhance your brand image, or it may well enhance your brand image, make you more popular with consumers. It may differentiate your organisation and create a USP, a unique selling point for you. If you think about companies like Tesla and Apple, these companies have really good reputations for innovating, coming up with new ideas and designs, and consumers respect that and like that and want to be a part of an organisation that is innovative and coming up with unique products. This should increase sales, it leads to growth. We can start to compete maybe in new markets because we're coming up with new ideas. We can expand overseas, increase our product portfolio, etc. But either way, it should increase our sales revenue. It can also allow an organisation to charge a premium price. If you come up with a new idea and maybe even create a whole new market, I'm thinking about maybe Apple with the iPad, there's very little competition there, and so you can charge a premium price. And even if there is competition, maybe you get known as, you get a first mover advantage, it's called, where you've got into that market first. Consumers associate your brand with that product, and they're prepared to pay a premium price for it. Innovation, particularly process innovation, may help to reduce costs. So coming up with a better way of producing products, cutting costs in some way, makes the business more efficient, makes it operate better. And this combination of we've created a USP, we've increased our sales, we've charged a premium price at the same time as reducing costs, well, that's going to be very good for profits and profitability, and shareholders are going to be pleased. Being an innovative company and encouraging innovation is also motivational for the workforce. We're encouraging them to come up with new ideas and think creatively. It's an exciting place to work. So this can be very motivational and help with things like recruitment in the future. Being innovative can also help to reduce our environmental impact. We think of new things to do with waste. That improves our brand image and again enhances our reputation as an organisation. However, innovation can be very time consuming and it can take a number of years. You look at industries like the pharmaceutical industry, where the process of coming up with, testing a new drug can be literally 20 years. So it can be hugely time consuming to come up with a new product. It's going to require market research. We're going to need to do product testing. We're going to need to build prototypes. We're going to need to see if consumers like the product. We're going to need to go back to the drawing board now and again and say, well, this isn't actually very good. We need to redesign this element of the product. Okay, so it's going to be very, very expensive, hugely expensive. It can be for businesses to engage in innovation. It may require you to undertake training with your workforce so that they have the skills to come up with new ideas or the skills to implement the new ideas. And the benefits will tend to be felt in the long term as a result of all this expenditure. Okay, yes, we should get benefits, but in the short term, innovation can be very, very expensive. And of course, there's no guarantee of success that goes alongside that. Just because we're spending lots of money on coming up with a new product, we take a huge risk when we launch it because maybe consumers won't like it. next disadvantage, we need to protect our intellectual property. Intellectual property is a way of saying ideas. Now, it's very, it might be very controversial in a way to think of ideas as property, but I came up with that idea. Maybe you've come up with ideas yourself, and in school, and people steal your ideas or whatever. Businesses need to protect their ideas as well, so that other companies don't use them. And there are things like patent and copyright and things like that that prevent other businesses from stealing ideas. But obviously it can be very difficult and expensive to prove that an idea is your own. And if you there's lots of lawsuits that go on between different companies. It's very difficult to prove actually who came up with an idea in the first place. And as a result of that, we often get copycat products. Okay. Now, I know if you're a phone expert, you will easily be able to tell the difference between, say, a Samsung and an iPhone, and they use different operating systems, etc. But essentially, they are quite similar products, and they do very similar things. We can accuse them of copycatting each other, just doing what the other is doing. And obviously, if you spent loads and loads of money, billions of dollars, innovating a new product, then you're going to be a bit upset if a couple of years later everyone else is doing that and you don't really have a competitive advantage. So the amount of innovation in an organisation is going to depend on a couple of things. So we could use these almost as evaluation points. It's going to depend on the level and nature of competition. So if we have a look at some markets like mobile phones and computers and electric cars, these are all kind of fast-moving, innovative markets, and they're highly competitive. And these businesses need to invest a lot of money to innovate in order to keep going. If you have a look at more maybe mature markets, like say the market for sugar, there's not an awful lot of innovation that goes on. A packet of sugar is pretty much the same today as it was in the 80s when I was born, and even going way back to the sort of 50s and 40s. It's the same product. And that's because the market's a bit more mature and different, and it's kind of difficult to innovate in those markets. The nature of demand in the industry. So do consumers expect products to change? If we have a look in the pharmaceuticals industry, for example, lots of we've improved technology. We're finding out about new diseases all the time, and demand for medicines is changing, and so the industry needs to respond to that and come up with new products. The management attitude to risk and failure in a company is crucial to how innovative that product is. Do managers encourage their employees to take risks and maybe fail once in a while? And how do you treat that failure? Okay, you can think about that with maybe your teachers. Do your teachers say, you had a really good go at that, I'm really pleased that you went out and did that essay. Okay, it wasn't your best essay, but at least you went out and had a go, and you've risked failing. Or do they say, well, that was rubbish, that was no good, we've wasted loads of money here? Okay, so management attitude to risk and failure and the corporate culture of an organisation determines the extent to which it's innovative. Companies like Google have got a very positive attitude to failure. They've just found a way that doesn't work of doing something, and you go back to the drawing board, and that encourages people to take risks and come up with new ideas in the future. The cost of innovation and availability of finance was all very well having a positive attitude to risk and failure and encouraging people to take risks, but if we haven't got the finance available to do that, then that's not going to be possible anyway. The skills of the workforce are going to be important, the education of the workforce, and our training of the workforce to give them these skills. If we don't train the workers and we don't encourage them, if we don't develop these skills in the workers to be innovative, then they may not be as innovative as they could be. Finally, pressure from the government can lead to an organisation having to be more innovative to come up with new ideas to do things like cut their emissions because new regulations have been passed. Finally, the ability to utilize technological advances. Can the organization use advances in web technology and other technological advances to their advantage and come up with new ideas as a result of it?